Hey Stargazers, welcome back. My name is Nick. I'm a theaters manager at the Adler Planetarium, and you're watching Skywatch Weekly. Well, this week during the new moon, I want to take a quick spin around the night sky. We're coming up to the end of astronomical winter, and we've got the first day of spring coming up on March 20th. So what better time to kind of take stock of where we've been, see what's up right now, and also look at where the sky is going. So let's start off looking west about 2 hours after sunset tonight. Now, you might notice I usually don't give actual times, like 7:45, mainly because the sunset and sunrise times change from place to place on a given night. Depending on how far east or west you are in a time zone, the clock time of sunset can change pretty drastically. That discrepancy is especially noticeable this coming weekend when daylight saving time begins on Sunday morning. The clock time of sunset on Saturday night here in Chicago is 5:55 p.m., but on Sunday night, the sun sets at 6:56 p.m. But rest assured, the sky doesn't care what time we humans say it is. The sights visible 2 hours after sunset Saturday will be relatively the same as the sky 2 hours after sunset on Sunday. So once again, looking west 2 hours after sunset, give a look for the star Hamal, which is the brightest star in Aries the Ram. Aries is a zodiac constellation we've discussed before. It's a little bit all on its lonesome here, among some much dimmer constellations like Pisces the Fish, which is on its way below the horizon at this hour. Higher up, though, is the constellation of Taurus the Bull, and this is where a lot of eyes have been looking over the past couple of weeks. Did you get to see Mars and the Pleiades in the sky last week? I took a look many times and also managed to capture this image through my telescope. You can see the beautiful reddish color of Mars and also the blue nebulosity around the Pleiades star cluster. Telescopes have a very narrow field of view, so this is two images stitched together to show both Mars and the Pleiades. Well, Mars and the Pleiades are still pretty close in the sky, not quite as close as they were last week. So give them a look. Mars is currently threading the needle between the Pleiades star cluster and the cluster known as the Hyades. That forms the face of Taurus the Bull. Mars is currently just about the same brightness and a very similar color to the star Aldebaran, which marks the eye of Taurus. That bright red giant star isn't actually associated with the dimmer stars it forms the V with. Those dimmer stars lie at about twice the distance of Aldebaran from Earth. And the Pleiades star cluster is about 3 to 4 times the distance of the Hyades. Mars, on the other hand, is the next planet out from the Sun, and extremely close, at least in galactic terms. So a beautiful series of objects, all at very different distances, but from our vantage point here on Earth, they're beautifully aligned and well worth a look. Well, to the right of Taurus right now, we've got Perseus the Hero. It's a classic fall constellation, but now on its way out, pursuing his love Andromeda below the horizon. Higher still is Capella, brightest of the stars in Orija the Charioteer. This is the top of the winter circle, which by now is more towards the southwest after sunset. You can check out the video from January 27th for more on this huge pattern in the sky. High up in the south, the Gemini twins begin their night almost at the top of the sky here in Chicago. Also due south is Procyon, brightest star in Canis Minor, the little dog. And Canis Major, the big dog, is just below with the bright star Sirius, shining with its bluish light. Sirius is the brightest star in the nighttime sky, and currently there are no planets or moon right now to challenge it in the evening sky. So, if you want to find it, just look for the brightest thing up there. And that brings us, of course, to Orion the Hunter. He's got that bright belt of 3 stars, 2 shoulders up above, and 2 knees down below. Having stalked the nights of winter for many months, he's now on his way out to the western horizon. Now, you can still catch him every evening, all the way through April, really, but he'll be lower and lower in the sky to begin with, and much harder to see. Contrary to what some people think, Orion is not circumpolar. He's not visible every night of the year, so catch him while you can, before he disappears for a few months from the evening sky. So to the south and west, the skies are dominated by the winter and late fall constellations, all of which we've covered in more detail over the past few months. The eastern part of the sky, though, is showing definite signs of spring, and we'll be covering a lot of these dimmer constellations in more detail over the next couple of months. For a quick overview, though, about halfway up in the eastern sky, 2 hours after sunset, is Leo the Lion. Look for his backward question mark or sickle that marks his head and mane, and also the bright star Regulus, marking his heart. Now, believe it or not, there is a constellation between Leo and Gemini. In fact, it's a zodiac constellation, Cancer the Crab. This is a very dim part of the sky, though, so from Chicago or really any place with any amount of light pollution, don't expect to see much of that constellation. Behind Leo, though, is the zodiac constellation of Virgo, the Maiden. It's not quite as dim as Cancer, and it has a very bright star in it called Spica. That'll be rising a little bit later on in the night. To the left of Virgo and Spica is the bright star Arcturus, part of the constellation Boötes the Herdsman. It's not exactly a household name, but the bright star Arcturus has a lovely yellowish-orange color to it. Well, rounding out the cardinal directions here, let's look north, and this is where we have the circumpolar sky. We've covered that in detail in early February. This is a part of the sky that doesn't change all that much throughout the year. Patterns like the Big and Little Dippers and Cassiopeia the Queen, they don't set from mid-northern latitudes. They only circle around the North Star. But where they are in the north does change quite a bit. So in the evening sky right now, you've got the Big Dipper vaulting up from the northeast, and Cassiopeia getting much lower and skimming the northern horizon a little bit later on in the night. So overall right now, the sky is kind of in an in-between state. We've still got the winter stars and definitely a few fall stars left over, and the coming spring stars. And if you're up much later in the night, you'll actually begin to see quite a few summer stars as well. Well, next week we'll be talking all about the spring equinox and also a very cool alignment that you can see here in Chicago called Chicago Henge. Imagine the sun shining directly down the east-west streets at sunrise and sunset, creating an amazing celestial show. That's coming up on the equinox, and I'll have more information in next week's show. If you can't wait to learn more until then, though, check out the episode of Adler's Sky Observers Hangout that aired this past Monday, March 8th, right here on Adler's YouTube channel. Well, that's what we have for you this week. Thanks, as always, for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to Adler's YouTube channel and also follow us on social media. Happy stargazing, and we'll see you next week.